Well, wish I was recording that. I went through the nether and came on the portal, and there was a creeper standing right next to me, and luckily I ran away. I made it all the way over here, and he still blew up. But that's what happened. Let it snow, let it snow, let it snow. Hello everybody and welcome back. It is Jeff again coming to you from the Mindcrack server. And we're going to continue working on this igloo today, and I'm going to tell you a story. Now, this story, man, it baffles me. It doesn't baffle me as in I don't know what happened. It's just, I can't believe something like this happened in an amazing, good storytelling type of way. But I work at a very interesting facility. I am now back in the emergency department, which I switch back and forth every 6 weeks. Today was my first day back in the emergency department, and I'm very happy to be back there. I love the emergency department. And oh crap. And it's very strange to me that they always put me in like triage or as a team leader, even when I've been gone for 6 weeks. Like I come in today, it's triage. You know, I came the very first day I was back in the emergency department. I hadn't worked there in a year and a half. They put me in triage, which is like one of the advanced level nursing type things, but that's good. I like it. They think highly enough of me that they know I can handle triage, and it makes me feel good. And at my facility, I have definitely seen a lot of things that they'd be so hard for anybody to actually believe they're true. You'd think that they'd be things that you would see in a movie or things that people do to exaggerate stories or something like that, but they actually do happen, and it's kind of amazing how often that happens. And today, I will tell you, is something that's never happened to me before, something I never even thought was possible, but it would be such a perfect like comedy movie type example of something ridiculous that would happen that just wouldn't actually happen in the real world, but it did. It's one of those just perfect scenarios that everything just kind of I can't say came together, but just came together in a way that it made something like that possible. So let me set the scene for you guys. I was in triage, as I said. When you're in triage, you work in I love watching this. Yeah. When you're in triage, you basically you triage the patients. You find out, how sick do I think you really are? What do I need to do to make it so you're, not so you're better? Where do I need to get you placed in this emergency department that's going to take the best care of you? Because there's different places you can go. You have levels of triage systems. So level 1 is basically you're dying if I don't do something right away. Level 2 is you're not doing well, you need to be seen in like 15 minutes or something terrible is going to go wrong. Level 3 essentially you can wait a while. You don't need to get seen right away. You can wait some time and things probably are not going to go terribly wrong. Level 4 are you should have gone to your doctor, not an emergency department. Or you could have gone to your doctor, but they were closed. Now you're in the emergency department because it's, the weekend or it's night or whatnot. Some time frame that you couldn't go to your doctor. Level 5 is for things that need absolutely nothing. It's like you need a medication refill and you came to the emergency department because you lost your prescriptions for your medication or something like that. Like something very basic. We're just going to sit there and give you a medication refill. That really has nothing to do with the story. I was just telling you guys what I was, exactly what I was doing today. So I'm doing the triage. When you're in triage, you see a majority of the patients around the emergency department because, you're part of the team that triages them. But you don't really take care of them. You know very basic things about a lot of the patients in the ER. Whereas if you're a nurse working on the team, you know relatively intimately what's going on with a handful of patients because they're the ones that you're working with or your team is working with. But you might not know much details about ones that other teams have or even other people on your team have because you're focused on, taking care of your patients. That's pretty typical. But when you're a triage nurse, like I said, you get to know a very basic idea of a lot of the patients, but still not all of them. So some of them you'll have absolutely no idea on. Some of them you will just know, I know this is what you came in here for and what you looked like when you got here, and that's about it. But you also see many of the teams. So you constantly are on the teams, either bringing straight backs or making sure, you know, that they're okay, because you got to give patients to teams, but you got to make sure that they can actually take care of the patients that they have. Because if, you know, if you start giving them too many patients, they're not going to be able to take care of them all. So you want to make sure that everybody is, you know, getting adequately seen and worked on. So you constantly are making trips to the teams, talking to the team leaders, etc., etc. So I'm back on. We have our teams are split into like red, green, and blue. Are our main teams. I'm sitting on green team, and I had just brought a straight back to red team, which is right next to green team. Not that that matters. So either way, I brought a straight back patient, which means somebody who was sick and couldn't wait. They needed to go straight back to the team. And I sat down at one of the computers that was on the other team because it was happened to be free at the time. And behind me, I noticed there is a gentleman in a room, and he's the patient, and one of his family members is there with him, or family members or a wife, a visitor of some type is there with him. I don't know if it was a wife or it was a girlfriend. It was one of those two, but that's all I know. It was a patient that I didn't know anything about. I hadn't personally done the triage on this patient. It wasn't my patient at all. I didn't know anything about them except that that's just what I gathered from the scene. And part of what you do when you're in a setting like this is you're constantly just gathering information around you at all times and then trying to, you know, keep things straight on if something's going to go wrong. You got to keep an eye out if things are going, you know, poorly and you need to intervene or whatnot. So no big deal. It's just this guy in this room, and you can hear him and his girlfriend, wife, whatever. They're having a relatively heated conversation. They're not yelling and screaming, but you can tell it's not a pleasant conversation that they're having with each other. They're not like, "Oh, I love you. I hope you're better." It's more like, "I can't believe you're acting like this. You quit acting like this. You know, you're being rude. You're being mean. Whatever." And it's getting a little bit louder, but nothing to the point where I'm thinking, okay, I have to go in and, like, you know, keep them calm or anything like that. Not like that. Just people, you know, having a slight quarrel. No big deal. And then it kind of quiets down for a minute. And I'm sitting at a computer, so my back is to them, and I kind of glanced over my shoulder, you know, kind of make sure everything's okay, and then moved on with my business. So I'm talking to one of the people on the team with this particular patient, or this particular patient and the family, and I talk to somebody else, and then I look over and I see another nurse, one of my colleagues, go running across the floor in front of me. She goes running across the floor and kind of barrels into this room. And I kind of glanced behind me, but then she shuts the curtain as she walks into the room and shuts the curtain. And I kind of looked just to make sure everything's okay. And I don't see anything immediately that is going wrong. So I'm kind of like, okay, that was weird. I don't know why she went running in there. But she's also a type of person who, she moves at a fast pace all the time. Like, she doesn't walk through the emergency department. She kind of, you know, she moves with a purpose when she does things, which is a very good thing. Sorry about that. My phone is going off. I'm trying to stop it, and it doesn't want to stop. I'm going to reject it for now because I want to finish this story. So she's somebody who moves with a purpose, which is good. You want people like that in the emergency department. So I watch her go in there. No big deal. Things kind of, you know, stop and gets quiet for a second. I'm like, okay. I turn around and go back to my charting. This is where the movie aspect of things comes in. I just set the scene for you guys. Very basic scene. So I'm talking to somebody else next to me at the time, and all of a sudden, I hear something just crash, something really loud. I don't know what it is. It's just a really loud, like, bang! And all of a sudden, this metal clanging all over the place as if something, like, hit the ground, but I couldn't put my finger on what it was. And then I hear this scream, like a bloody murder type of scream. It's just a, ah! And it was obviously a female. And I'm pretty sure it was the patient's family. I don't think it was the other nurse that was in there. So, of course, my mind set instantly, oh, crap, something is wrong. What are we going to do? What do I need to do to go help the situation? But I don't know anything about the situation that's going on. And this is all like in a split-second type of thought process that's going on. I jump up out of my chair, as well as some other people around me. Like, everybody jumps up. Like, it's not just like it's me. Like, everybody's sitting around going, oh, whatever, I'll ignore it. No. People are actually, like, attentive to this stuff. I mean, it's something that doesn't happen on a regular basis by any stretch of the imagination. I run to the room, which is literally 5 feet behind me, but I jumped up and turned and, like, ran toward the room, and I looked down, and all I see is red pouring out from underneath the curtain. And I'm instantly, my heart starts pounding. I am, like, trying to picture in my mind exactly what the hell just happened. I need this there, actually. Something horrible has just happened. What happened? What fell? Was it the patient that fell? Was it something that fell on the patient? Did the patient trip on something? What are they bleeding from? Why is there so much blood? I mean, it was just like, it was a river of this that comes underneath the curtain door. And I'm in my mind, one of those, what am I going to do? What do we need to do to remedy this situation right now? I don't even know what's going on. So you gotta remember, you know, I'm just thinking all this in a split-second time frame. It's not like this goes on for like an hour and I'm like, well, what should I do? Should I go help? Blah, blah, blah. No, it's like all split-second time frame. I'm just trying to figure out the situation in my mind as I'm running toward, you know, closer to the door. And I reach forward and I rip the curtain open. And all I see is this patient's, like, wife or girlfriend or whatever. She's sitting in a chair. She's sitting in a chair, but kind of frantically, like, patting her body. And I'm like, okay, take that into account. I look, a patient is standing up in the room. Very quick glance, not injured in any way, shape, or form. Nobody seems to be injured, but the patient's family, or this family member, is, like, weirdly patting herself. And I look at the ground and piece everything together. And this goes back to an old story that I've told you guys before about what are patients' biggest complaints in a hospital. For whatever reason, these people brought with them a gallon-sized glass jug of cranberry juice and had put it on a bedside table. And this patient decided they had to use the bathroom, and he had a urinal in his hand with him, or in his room with him. So, why did I put a dirt block there? So he stood up to try to use the urinal, started to lose his balance, reached over, put his hand on the bedside table, which is on wheels. So the bedside table gives way, flies against, like, the wall. He manages to maintain his balance, flies against the wall. The cranberry juice on top of said table tips off of it, hits the floor, shatters into 1,000 pieces, while splashing on his girlfriend, which is why she's frantically patting herself, just trying to get the cranberry juice that spilled all over her off. And also, what the river of red, quote-unquote, blood is that is coming from underneath the door is just cranberry juice coming out from underneath the door. And I get into this room, and I look, and I just kind of breathe a sigh of relief, and everybody starts laughing, and rightfully so. We all kind of, one of those, you know, those awkward laughs that people do? They're kind of like, holy crap. I seriously think that my blood pressure has probably never been so high for a split second in my entire life, because I literally thought somebody had just fallen and was just profusely bleeding everywhere. But no, it all pieces together in this perfect picture on where the scream came from. I guess this has to go here. I guess it doesn't. It probably doesn't have to go here though, huh? Will that look better? I don't know. But it's the perfect picture of where the scream comes from, where the red liquid came from, why everybody was acting like they were acting. Like, what the sound was, because it was really the bedside table like slamming into the wall essentially is what it was, and then the more sound was actually glass shattering. But I mean, it was just the sound of everything at once. I didn't really notice glass shattering. I mean, big bottles like that too, when they shatter, they don't make the same noise. It's not like just your standard glass. It goes I mean, it's more of a thud, and then there's a bunch of shards of it on the ground is pretty much what, you know, one of those sounds like. But holy crap, if you could write a movie about the emergency department, or in Scrubs, if they wanted to make a new season of Scrubs, they could so easily add that as one of the just random things that happens, and people would laugh hysterically and think it was one of the funniest episodes and thing that's ever happened in that show. I can guarantee it. Oh my God, did I freak out. Anybody who's in the medical field, especially if you're in the emergency department or just anything like that, where, or just been in a situation where you're so determined that something horrible just happened that has luckily a, like, explanation that you can actually come up with this explanation and see the meaning and everything that happens in it. Wow. I like walked away, and I was still kind of in shock when I walked away, and this is where I wanted it. It's not, I guess it's not as wide as I originally wanted this thing to be, but I was instantly like in shock, and then I was just chuckling about it for the rest of the shift. Not chuckling because the situation itself really isn't that funny. It's just the thought process on what I thought was going on compared to what actually happened, and being able to understand why I thought one thing and then piecing it together with how it really happened. It was like a detective show, like a detective show mixed with Scrubs, or some show in the, you know, having to do with, you know, people in a hospital or an emergency department or just some life-saving setting. And all I can say is I get home from work, which I just did recently. I am relaxed. I think it's funny. You experience, I experience new and different things every day. Like, just when you think you've really seen it all, you realized you haven't even come close. That will not be the last time that I see something like that in my life in the emergency department, I can guarantee. And no, you can't make this stuff up. I mean, you probably could make this stuff up, but I think the only reason you might possibly be able to make this stuff up is because it happened to somebody at some time, and this one happened to be me that it happened to. So if you ever hear somebody trying to rip this story off me, or it's in a TV show, you know where they got it from, because you can't make this stuff up in the emergency department at my hospital. That being the case, I want to get a couple of these blocks of ice on here. I don't know how I'm going to do these edges yet. It's not perfect. I'm going to come through and probably take some of these edges out, or maybe even add more edges to it. But I want to see how this looks with the kind of mixed pattern, of ice. Yeah, of the ice snow mix. We'll see how that looks. This is as far in as I can take this thing. I think this is the top layer, because of the fact of we will end up... Oh, I'm out of ice. Whee! Obviously, the bottom I didn't do. How does this look as kind of a partial igloo from the outside? I guess would be the major question. And let me make sure all my corner lines. Corner lines. Corner lines. Went too far. Corner lines. Obviously, there won't be dirt there. Need to get over here. I think if I fix the bottom layer and make it an ice layer as well. I don't know. All that, and I really don't know if I like that or not. Either way, you guys got to hear a fun story. I made some progress. I got to do it all again tomorrow. I will see you guys in the next episode. Press that like button. By the way, got a couple donations the other day. And I really appreciate that. I will go back and look at my emails, and I'm actually going to start making a little donation shrine or whatnot in the basement somewhere, and I'll get the names and put the donations up there. So really appreciate that. It helps me a lot. So always remember that's a possibility. And anyways, guys, thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.